Hey creative friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into another fun scrapbooking session, layering memories, playing with colors, and bringing stories to life on paper. Whether you're a seasoned scrapbooker or just getting started, I've got some inspiration and tips for you. So grab your supplies, get cozy, and let's create something beautiful together. For today's project, I am using Wishlist, which is a template set from Fiddle-Dee-Dee Designs. And then I am also going to use the manuscript, which is kind of a Taylor Swift inspired kit. And it's an entire collection by Tracy Reed. Both of those are available at Sweet Shop Designs. So this layout set is called Wish List, and you can see it's set up to be able to put in a whole bunch of things you're wishing for. For me, I looked at it and I saw story pieces. So the story of getting the latest album CD has actually been a little bit of a fun story for me, so I decided to document that. I started off with when the album was announced. I thought it was really kind of a fun screenshot that I had captured where it actually you typed in Taylor Swift and it sent confetti, all orange to celebrate Life of a Showgirl. And then I have bought a couple of different options with her music. Sometimes I buy the record, sometimes I buy the CD, but I have been collecting the CDs, and my sister knew that. October's my birthday month. So when she saw that the CDs were coming out in October, my sister told me ahead of time, hey, don't buy one. I'm going to buy you one for your birthday. So she did. And then she moved. And so then it got forwarded. And in the time I was waiting for it to get forwarded and show up, I went ahead and bought the Target record, the exclusive pink one. So I wanted to include both the story of that, and because it's kind of broken up over time, I liked the idea of putting it in those little tags at the bottom and making it kind of like a wish list. So I went ahead and I grabbed the alpha to use to do the Life of a Showgirl because I thought just making the title of the album the title of the layout probably works perfect because it is kind of a fun layout and a fun experience with it. I didn't want my title to be all straight lined, so I did play around with it a little bit, moving different letters up and down to make it fit. I really loved some of the um, serifs on like the G, so I wanted to make sure that they weren't overlapping any of the other letters, but that you would be able to see them. And then I like to move things around. I like to make them smaller and bigger depending on what's going on. And I kind of like that this alpha, if you get close, it's obvious that it's like a manuscript, so it does still go along with music. But it also kind of gives off almost a glittery feel from farther away, which kind of for me worked with the Life of a Showgirl bit. And I did choose to use both alphas that are in this kit. And you'll notice that the title on the original template just had one little spot. But I found that just because it's there, that doesn't mean you have to use it. It's just a suggestion. I tend to change up a lot when it comes to templates and make them work for me because that's what they are. They're basically a starting spot. If I'm in a hurry, it's perfect to just drag and drop all my photos and call it done. But if I'm not in a hurry, it's nice to be able to go through and just play around with it, make it mine, make it fit better for my stories. I just added the of in a little cursive font so that it would go with it. I liked the contrast between the serif and the cursive there. So the next, it's time to add some elements and replace a lot of those different flowers and different pieces on the template with things that will work for my layout. One of the things that caught my eye at first was the little next chapter because I thought, well, that's perfect because this is the next chapter for Taylor Swift. It's the next album that's come out. But I didn't have a good tag to put there, so instead there was this really cute envelope inside the element set. So I just went ahead and shifted things around so that the little envelope would fit instead. And then from here, I just went ahead and changed out a bunch of the different flowers. I changed out the stars. I shifted a couple of the elements around to make them fit better. I did like that this kit had a lot of really big flowers, so it went really well with the bigger flowers on the template. Sometimes I find I have to put 2 or 3 flowers if they're all little, but it also depends on what I'm doing, if I want big flowers or little flowers or no flowers at all. So I went ahead and fast forwarded this part because it's kind of boring to watch me just Replace all of the flowers with new flowers. I did decide on this particular layout not to do any duplicates because there were so many pretty flowers. I just pulled them all on here, so none of them are the same, and that is intentional, and I kind of liked the look that it ended up with. And then it was time to play with the background. There were a lot of papers that I really liked, and I kind of struggled a little with the background because I didn't want it to be too big and busy. While I love that butterfly pattern, I was struggling with it against the title. And so my options were to move the title, which I didn't really want to do because I didn't feel like there was another really great spot to put it, or to play with the paper. So I went ahead and I tried just adding a paint style to see if that would help what I wanted it to do, and it didn't really. So I gave up on it for the few minutes and I was like, I will come back to that and see what I can get to work for me. And I decided to go change out the tags to see if there was something different. Then it dawned on me maybe I should just make the paper smaller. So because it is covering such a big surface, I did go ahead and just duplicate it. But since it's also covering such a big surface and so much is hidden in the middle with the paper with the photos, I didn't have to match my corners as exact as I do often when I duplicate and make a paper smaller. So that was nice. I was able to just kind of make those lines hide in the middle and then you didn't really notice them at all. I did, you may not have noticed this, but I did actually add a little bit of paint underneath the title so that the whole thing under the title was all whatever paper I added. And that was also for just readability because when I was looking at it, it was harder to read the title when it wasn't all just one solid color under it. And then this is where I fought a little bit with my text tool. I don't know why, but it was just being a pain in the butt. So, a little tip that I have for you is I don't know if you're aware of this. If you go up into the top of your layers panel, you can actually change where it says kind, which is the default, to name. So, I changed it to name, wrote journaling because all of these little boxes were named journaling. And then I was able to select them all, change all of the font at the exact same time, put it into the size, and then I was able to just go back to kind so that I could see them all at once. But that helped me since Adobe was fighting with me over changing the font individually for each one. And this font is actually my handwriting that a designer made for me. So it's kind of a fun one because this is a more personal layout for me with the little fun story. And then because I didn't need the numbers really, even though it is different pieces of a story, it's pretty easy to follow how it happens sequentially. So I decided to just change the numbers out for just a little element of some sort. And then, of course, I had to change my mind 50 times because I didn't like the way that some of it was laying against stuff. And then I realized that I didn't really like this awkward corner I had going with the from the desk of and then the adding that. So I just decided we'll get rid of that extra piece. And that's the brilliance of templates is they're a great starting point. But if you're finding that the elements you put on, that piece isn't working for you, then just get rid of it and change it to something different. So I went ahead and I added these different papers. And when I added the different papers just to the tags instead of changing them out, I realized that my background was still not working for me. So that's when I decided to go in and delete the butterflies and try basically every paper that was in this pack to see what would work for me. Because I knew the look that I wanted in my head, but I was having a hard time getting it to translate. Then I finally realized, well, part of my problem I think I'm having is I just need one pattern on the background instead of two. So I found this cute painted paper, made that the top, and then I just, because I wanted the paint to be less drastic than it is in the paper, I did do that duplicate thing again. And again, I just hid that line where I duplicated it under those photos so nobody's going to see it when they're looking at it. Then I did go ahead and add in dates on all the different pieces so that it was easy to see which piece came from which part of the story. And I changed out my background to be that slight pattern that really worked well for me. And I added in the typewriter font for the little dates. And after I added it in, I realized I kind of wanted them to stand out a little bit. So I have this great, like, slight embossing shadow that I added. And if you're looking at the layout, you can see it looks like it's been stamped in rather than it just being sitting on top of the layout. So I always like that look with a typewriter layout. Thank you so much for scrapping with me today, and I hope you have a chance to get your own creativity on and have a happy crafting day.